move forward here.
Where are we?
We are at the financial audit with Miss Watson. Welcome, Miss Watson. Thank you for waiting around.
You want to drive? He's
just a year older.
Well, I don't even know how to drive.
Oh, wait, okay.
So I'll let you.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Just point to me or something.
Okay.
Kick me in the shin.
I'll wake you up.
Yes, ma'am.
Just want to say thank you again to the council members for allowing me to complete the audit another year. And unfortunately, as you may all know, I took a position with Watauga County, and so this will be my last year, but I truly appreciate everything, and I enjoyed working with everyone. And I want to say thank you to Nicole and the staff at Blowing Rock. Like, they were very easy to work with, and everyone was very accommodating, and anything I asked for, I received immediately. So, praise to her and her staff for that. And I will just start with some of the highlights. Yeah. And so the first bullet point just states that as of year-end June 30, 2018, the town's assets for all governmental and the water and sewer fund exceeded its liabilities at year-end by $32,699,000, which was an increase of a little over $1 million from fiscal year 17. And the increase was due to many reasons, but primarily due to revenue being above market expectations for the local option sales tax, permits and fees, and sales and services. And also the town's expenditures were below budget due to continuing to monitor these expenditures. And the property tax collection rate for the current fiscal year is 98.52%, which was a slight decrease of 0.63% from last fiscal year. And the latest published data shows that a town the same size as Blowing Rock had an average collection rate of 97.84. So you can see Blowing Rock's above that average across the state. The unassigned fund balance for the general fund was a little over $4.2 million, which equates to 57% of the general fund expenditures. And again, a town the size of Blowing Rock, from 2007 published data, the general fund expenditures were 82.05%. The water and sewer fund had a decrease in net position this fiscal year of a little over $65,000, leaving the net position at a little over $14 million. The town paid down principal debt of $1,040,442 in the current fiscal year and issued $2,705,000 in new debt, which includes the general obligation bonds and, in addition to that, a capital lease. There was one GASB entered into and implemented this fiscal year, which was GASB 75, accounting and financial reporting for post-employment benefits other than pensions, which is typically medical care and that sort of post-employment benefits the town offers. And this resulted in a new liability at the end of fiscal year 18 of $53,000. And the town finished numerous capital projects during the year and added $1.7 million in capital assets to the general fund and $504,000 to the water and sewer fund. And the next page.
Misty, where is that?
This slide,
This was emailed out.
I know, but it's not in this report.
No, ma'am. This is just kind of a summary, just a little brief summary.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And a lot of this is in the front few pages of
Yeah.
your MD&A, and I just kind of summarized it here.
Thank you so much.
And the results of the audit, the independent auditor's report can be found on pages 1 through 3, which just states that our audit, or the audit was audited under auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, and we looked at internal control for expressing an opinion on the town's basic financial statements and did not provide absolute assurance in the internal control structure. And the objective is to provide reasonable assurance, not absolute, that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. And this is all in your auditor's report on pages 1 through 3. And the basic financial statements are the responsibility of town's management. The town did receive an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion in what you would want for every audit. And management posted all of my adjustments, which were typically for depreciation, retirement, the long-term debt, and those sort of things. And then the next page just kind of goes over where you can find certain information in the financial statements. The MD&A, which is what I took the highlights from, can be found on pages 4 through 12, and these include comparative information for net position and the changes in net position. You will also find schedules for the capital assets that are being depreciated and outstanding debt. And the basic financial statements, which are the general fund and the other governmental funds and the enterprise funds, can be found on pages 13 through 21. And the footnotes begin on page 22. And the policies used by the town are in accordance with GAAP and similar government organizations. The footnote disclosures to the financial statements are an integral part of the financial statements, and the process used by management to accumulate information included in the disclosures was the same process used in accumulating the statements in pages 4 through 12 and 13 through 21. The required supplementary information, which is typically the OPEB, which is the other post-employment benefits, and the law enforcement officer's special separation allowance, that information is on pages 51 through 55 of the audit. And then after the footnotes, you will find the individual fund statements, which breaks it down each fund individually, is on pages 56 through 66. And again, I just want to say I had full cooperation from all of management and staff. There were no disagreements with management on any accounting issues, and there were no significant issues discussed with management related to business conditions, plans, or strategies that may have affected the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements. So that's a lot to go through. I don't know if anybody has any questions or has had a chance to look through the financials.
Jim, what was that one thing about the money that stays here or goes to the county?
Yeah, I wondered on the one thing I was wondering was about the 1 million. I think it goes back to the first page. The $1 million, was there something about in the sales tax? I assume that we took out the, what is it, 60 or 70%?
70%.
70% and sent it down to Watauga, right? So that's not.
Well, now that's probably not, correct me if I'm wrong, that wouldn't be reflecting the net.
No, that would.
That 70% of that is given back to.
But if we didn't take it out, that would show that we had more money than we actually had. But you already took it out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's taking it with her to the county.
That would be nice.
Oh, don't get used to it.
I've got 2 questions for you, please, ma'am. Did you find any areas that you think require or need special attention due to financial risk?
No, I mean, I feel like you guys have great controls in place, and so, and every, the current with GASB, so I didn't see anything that, needed to be updated or worked on or revised.
What about the statement you made on page 67 about internal controls?
That is required due to the state funding that the town receives. So that is just saying that I did not find any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. And if I had, then I would report it in this report at the end of the financial statements, and it would go to the state. And you would get a nice letter from the LGC.
Other thing I had, which I really enjoy reading this thing from cover to cover. On page 25, I think, don't you need to change that from Avery County to Watauga County?
Oh, yeah, I apologize. Probably. You know, if I reread this 25 times, I'd still
The
apologize.
very top sentence on page 25.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
They're getting their money too now?
That's a good
You
find.
did,
I'm
you did read that
impressed.
one fine tooth covered it. didn't you?
I did read it from cover to cover.
Now that
Anything
you're retired.
Misty does, you should read.
Any other questions, guys?
Good job.
I'm good,
Do
thank you.
we have a
Misty.
motion?
I make a motion, we accept it.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Thank you. We're sorry we're losing you. It's their game.
I appreciate it. But I'll be in contact.
Yeah.
Okay, and monthly financial report. Have you got this, Jim? Or, oh, here we go. Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. Thanks for staying late.
Now for more financial information. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I will be going over with you the financial report as of January 31st, 2019.
Can you give us a page? I'm sort of lost in here.
66, is it?
And since it was done twice.
Is it 66?
66?
You don't know.
Try 66 and 67, guys.
All right.
Okay, so as of the date of this report, we are 58% into the fiscal year 18-19. And again, as reference, I'll be going over a little bit more detail of this information that is up on the slide. So collections of 2018 property taxes at this point total $4,078,612, or 97% of budget. This is about 5% more collected at this point in the fiscal year than last year at this time. And so what we're seeing, you know, last month we had a larger variance there. We were a little bit more ahead. So I think what we're seeing is just alignment now that taxes have already been due. You know, we had a lot of prepaids, so we're starting to come back in line, so that's looking good. Our motor vehicle taxes are collected 1 month in arrears. So we've collected 6 months at this point, and the total collected there is $50,482, or 63%, which is 7% more collected at this point in the fiscal year than last year at this time. While sales tax is also collected in arrears, that's collected 2 months in arrears. Our gross collected sales tax is $729,280, or 40%. This is 3% below last year at this time. And building permits collected to date are $38,740, or 55% of budget, while zoning fees are at $4,538, or 45% of budget. These are below budget pace for this time of year, slightly below, and they are also below compared to last year at this time. As I mentioned last month, that's due to the timing of the Chestnut Development Partners project on Chestnut Drive and the fees associated with that. Later on, you'll see that water and sewer connection fees are also impacted by the timing of that project. The fourth utility billing of the new fiscal year will occur in late February. Currently, water charges are at $456,050, or 49% of budget, while sewer charges are at $381,323, or 51% of budget. This is about less than 1% above last year's budget pace for water, and about 2% above budget pace for sewer charges, so pretty well right on target there. Water and sewer connection charges that I referred to earlier to date total $20,550, or 121% of budget, so we're exceeding budget for that, while sewer connection charges are at $29,047, or 182% of budget, so that also exceeds budget expectations. Again, that's due to the Chestnut Ridge Development Partners project and the fees associated with that. Overall, expenditures for the general fund are at 54%. That's 1% above last year at this time, so pretty consistent to last year. And 41% for water and sewer, which is remaining moderately higher than last year at this time, and that's, again, we talked about last month, the AMI project funding of last year just impacts our comparisons across the 2 years. But when we look compared to a more typical year, we are actually, spending is approximately 5% below budget pace, and then, let's see. And then overall revenue for the general fund is at 73%, approximately 1% below last year at this time, and 43% for water sewer, which is 4% up this year compared to last, but only slightly up compared to a more typical year. As previously mentioned, debt service payments, we're still seeing the Public Buildings Department be above budget at this time, but that's due to debt service payments. So that is expected to level out nearing the end of the fiscal year, and all other department expenditures are in line with budget expectations at this time. I will, on another note, financial related, Misty mentioned, again, as we're aware, that she has gone to the county, so we're searching for an auditor. And I did reach out to our previous auditor, and at this time, due to changes in workload and staffing, they're unable to submit a quote to us. So I've reached out to a couple of additional firms to try to get some pricing. So once that's received, I will report back to council.
We do not have to have bids, is that right?
Correct. It's
Do not.
professional service. It's a little procedure.
I missed what they say they couldn't give you any.
They're not able to, due to staffing changes and their work, their workload has changed in the time that we have not been with them. So they're just not in a position at this time to offer us a quote.
All who believe that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Need a motion to approve her.
No, well, this is basically just to keep you informed, and any questions, just keep them tabs on us.
All right, guys, moving forward. Board appointments. I think what worked well last year, I think from what a few of y'all said, worked well. So Hillary has passed around a sheet for each of you to mark your wishes on the individuals, your individual ballots for our board members.
We need to write our name on it.
You need to write your name on there.
Why do we need to write our name?
Leo,
It's public.
It's public knowledge. It's a public record.
When I vote for the president, I don't write my name.
well, that's all right. Everybody else will, so we'll know who does not have a name on there, okay?
I feel my rights are being infringed.
You don't have rights up here, Elmer. Come on.
What were the 5 positions that are supposed to be on lodging? I mean, on TDA? We have the commissioner. This is where I need help.
There's, on TDA, you have 2 lodging individuals open, okay?
1 travel, the requirements.
There are 3 qualified, aren't
2. You got two options for TDA. And they need to be lodging 1 and 2.
Is there a reason that we have 2 lodging and 1 of everything else?
Because we already have the others on the board.
And it's in the charter,
they? Are you understanding what they just said? I know.
the TDA charter.
You just have to vote for 2
I
lodging.
know, but we had talked about moving things around.
I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah, we have to make that change.
Yeah.
We have to make that change in the bylaw.
You have to do it in the bylaws?
Yeah.
Future.
Because what,
What we're gonna do is we're gonna change it so that there will always be at large,
Now,
at the
as I
large,
read
the
this,
seat will
we're
always be
gonna
at
vote for
large.
2, but
There'll always
there
be a
are 3
council,
that are.
okay,
always.
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
But I like having, like the position that the resident's in, I like
Right,
having that.
right.
Well, that's.
We
Is
have-
that this one?
That's this one, right?
Okay, okay.
That's on there now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
He's already there and he's moving up to, that business.
The other question that I have along that is, I thought we only had one position on the ABC Board of Governors.
Remember, we put it back out. Remember, we said we're gonna.
Right,
send it
but I
back
mean,
out.
it says vote for two. I thought we only had one.
There's only one.
Oh, that's a typo, sorry.
There's only one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good point,
Did I-
Doug. Good
I
point.
just did one.
Doug, you know, you're doing pretty good at reading between the lines.
He's retired.
Hillary's bucking for your job.
Now,
One more day.
let's talk about Board of Adjustments. Can somebody explain that one? We need
We
two
need three.
full-time members.
We need 3 people, we only have
But we only have 2.
Right.
Yeah. So we gotta,
So we
did I
gotta-
write Jim in?
As an alternate? You
As
can.
an alternate,
Whatever he wants to be.
I don't think he can.
Jim,
Jim who? This Jim?
So what do we do? Just wait till we get an alternate, Hillary?
Well, we have 3.
that
We
alternate,
have 2 others.
Right, we have, yeah.
There's a total of 3 and we have 2.
I think you have enough, Kevin's not here, is he?
No.
I think you have enough for when you do the meetings.
Yeah.
It's just, we only have 2 people left.
He brought that up at retreat. That was brought up at retreat, and that was, we would like to have the other alternate in the case that the other 2 don't show up or whatever.
I think depending upon how it goes, we can get that filled. Okay?
Are we here? You already
I'm
done it.
done. Done.
Ben would be a good candidate.
No.
Oh, thank you.
We got enough
your name
skin
on
in
there.
this game. for us.
I think I'll talk to Ben.
My son is 21.
Do you get these back?
Yes. Pass it down, please.
Hey, get out
You
of
want
my
me to fold that up and hand it
space
to
here.
so they don't know where it came from? Howard, I'll take that over there for you.
Who's the highlighter?
Oh, I didn't have that much sense. I just saw.
It too.
I thought we were supposed to
Is this
use
your
the
ballot?
highlighter.
He circled.
Should we,
I was
You
wondering
know what
why
the highlighter is for?
you want me to vote again?
Yeah.
I'm glad you paid attention.
Sorry.
Somebody didn't vote.
Don't sign it or we're gonna lock you up.
I'm still on.
How many
remember
votes,
Jim-
how
Jim,
many
I-
ballots you have? Because I got
I
an empty
can't
one
vote, I
here.
just have a voice.
Sal,
He already voted.
How do you know? Did he write his name on it?
I'll just
Vote
vote again.
twice is what he's trying to do.
Should I vote?
No.
I'll vote again.
You got 5 sheets?
how many sheets you got?
I've got 1 truck, done 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Okay, ball that one up real quick.
Okay. Let's go. What's
So,
next?
here, with this one, I really like having the resident, just FYI, since I'm not on the board. And I like having those.
Well, we got that.
I know.
That's gonna be a done.
I know, but I like having a resident.
Oh. That's a, he's got a business here in town. He lives in town. So, yeah, I think that's how it is. I'm not sure. I think it is.
All right, I understand now.
It's,
Sam?
No.
no, she's, yeah, I think,
I just think those are important.
yeah.
And even if we have to decrease salary, we have to add somebody else. That'll be 6, so that don't make sense.
These ones have to stay.
Are you gonna announce?
This one here, this
Why?
Because that's the way it's set up by.
this is easy to do.
Where's that ballot?
2 lodging?
It's gone.
That's a state law?
I think so, because they're the ones that could.
All right, where where are we now?
Well, we're waiting on her to finish
Tally.
tallying the scores. We'll make the announcement, and then we'll move on to sunset. Not necessarily, well, sunrise
Good.
maybe.
We've got
Sunset.
Oh, God.
revote on the, TDA.
Reva.
Oh, do I come in on that?
Wait a minute now.
Uh-oh.
Do we have a statute, do we have a statute that says we
Hey, is this a chance
revote,
for
or do we draw
Charlie
straws?
to revote? Charlie.
I have a voice.
If you tie in a
It's your
general
turn.
election, you draw straws.
Do what?
You draw straws in an election.
Well, come
Charlie
in-
gets to break
I've
the
seen some
tie,
of them
y'all.
flip a coin.
But
You can do that,
the two bottom didn't.
but I don't think a revote.
Isn't that what we figured? So we were
Alan,
supposed
can
to
I break
vote
this
on-
vote? Can I break the tie?
Obviously,
How are you do, I don't understand.
how can it be a tie with 5 people?
It's a tie with 3.
3 and 3.
New
So
map.
3 wins.
There can't be 3 and 3.
Because the two bottom don't,
Did you
Hold
circle,
on, did I?
No, you can't.
Albert, did you circle?
I'm sorry?
it's two people.
But
If
out of
somebody
10
didn't,
people, that's out.
Anybody
out of 5,
bring in eggs?
and if somebody
Three
didn't
that
vote
actually
for,
qualify.
yeah, if somebody didn't vote.
Everybody's voting again.
Oh, where is she gone?
See how it can be a tie. Unless somebody didn't vote. I mean, yes.
No, you can, right? Based on this. So what they need to do is they need to vote between those two. Yeah, 4 plus 2 is 7. Yes, you got it.
It was 200 grand. Yeah.
Cherry Street, he's a businessman. He's the
Well, I had a copy of it. Did you have a copy made? No. It's on page 71.
What are you looking for? Oh, for Sunset?
Page 71.
He doesn't own that property.
He owns it.
Are you sure?
Our church number?
They own the business.
It's 71. It's on the back.
Look at it.
What's the address?
Sunset
I want a
Drive.
ruling from Alan.
He did, he just said, you all had to revote.
You think we can revote instead of drawing
We
lots?
vote to break the tie between those two.
2 individuals.
Instead of drawing lots?
Instead of what?
When you have a tie vote
Jesus,
over
we're
No,
move,
you're gonna revote,
This
cares
is not
what they do?
poker, Albert, okay?
and there won't be a tie.
Take one and pass it.
What are we gonna do?
Revote between Greg and Ray. Between those two.
Between who?
I'll try and do it right.
Greg and who?
What are we doing?
I have no idea.
Greg and Ray.
Okay.
Between those two,
Choose one.
choose one.
Do we circle it or,
We'll holler, I'll holler.
What am I choosing, one of these
maybe
two
that's
guys?
the problem.
Or that one?
I don't see how it tied, but I guess it did.
New map, Albert.
Here.
Put your name on it, put your name on it.
Eh. Got it. Here.
Is your name on it, Albert?
Oh,
Look, he's folding it.
We already know who you are.
You don't know him.
Yes, I do. You already told me. Here. You already told me.
You're stuck in the middle all the time.
I don't have that.
Well,
What was I
too
looking
bad.
No, that,
Too freaking bad.
Okay.
I'm looking at.
You're gonna be stupid, aren't you?
I don't know why I don't have it, but it's not here.
The hell are they?
203 Sunset Drive.
Okay,
You got it? You already found that out?
It'd be the second page, actually.
be the second page, it's in the back.
It's called 2 for 1.
From the back.
If she
The name of the
copies-
business? Corporation?
The first
You need to
page.
sign the deed.
It's gonna look like this, okay?
Dang, you're good at that.
That's the first
You
page.
act like a real one.
That's the second, sure.
Do you want me to tell you?
Take it to him.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. That's
Yeah.
fine, yeah. I can come get it.
Okay.
All right, okay. For planning board, it looks like Mike Page and Sam Glover. Board of Adjustments would be Eli Baxter Springs, better known as EB, and Tom Dixon. ABC Board would be Jerry Starnes. TDA would be Kevin Walker and Greg Tarbutton. And BRAC would be Bo Henderson.
Walker and, Walker and who?
Greg.
Well, he's a forward thinker. Did you see what he did in Miss Fox's house? Who you got up there?
Okay. Y'all got that?
Check.
Do we have a motion to approve our new board members?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Board members are approved. All right, moving forward. All right, guys, we have McGill with Sunset Drive Streetscape.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. At the Council's retreat, we presented information on the bids that was received for the Sunset Streetscape project that include water and sewer replacement. And what I've done, the bids that I've listed here were the sums of the different areas of work for the low bidder, Iron Mountain Construction. From that meeting, we discussed a number of things that could be done to change the project, to reduce project costs, and we went back and met with the contractor and looked at some of those items. I keep rolling the wrong way. So a list of things that we came up with in concert with the contractor is they went back and looked at some of their unit prices with one of their subcontractors, and they were able to reduce some of the unit prices for work elements in the project, and that saves about $53,229. We looked at taking the segmental block retaining wall in lieu of a concrete retaining wall. I've got some photos to try to show what that means. If you look at, this is not exactly obviously what it would look like, but we were planning a concrete wall that wouldn't have concrete below it. It's actually a wall on the fill side, so it looks different from this, but to give you an idea of what plain concrete looks like, you would have grass below it, you'd have the wall, and then at the top you would have a rail. Either one of the walls will have a rail at its top, and then sidewalk at the top. So that's what you would see on the downhill side. So if you were down at the creek on either side, you would see the concrete wall, or this is the segmental block that we've discussed with the contractor using. That wall is going to be probably varying from 3 to 4 feet high, and the length is different on each side of the creek. But that would be one of the cost savings. That item right there would save $88,800.
That's if we went with block
Yes.
instead of concrete.
Yes, the rail will be the same either way, but going with this instead of the concrete wall.
That looks dangerously close to what's on 321.
Which one?
That block wall up there.
That probably would look like, I didn't look to see what the one out here looks like, but if you'll recall, there's a wall behind the fire station on 321 that we put in 12 years or something ago. There's one that goes around the sidewalk at the corner of the building at the pool, the Robbins Pool. So they're similar to that, a gray block.
Go back to that other one, that 55,000. First deduct. Yeah, that one. Go in more detail about that.
The contractor went back and looked at the numbers that they had, and they've basically lowered their prices.
Really?
To the tune of $53,000. That's a little bit on concrete, curb and gutter, a little bit on sidewalk, a little bit on a number of different things.
The cookie jar effect.
I'm not going to comment on that. Beyond the wall, the next item that we discussed at the meeting was doing a block-by-block road closure. And let me explain that a little bit. This is basically the whole project. If you look from Valley Boulevard, here's the church, Ransom Street, up to the elementary school in Maple, and then on up to Main Street. And the way we have the contract set up is the contractor needs to maintain one lane of traffic at all times while they're working. So, I mean, they're still going to have to be able to build this project. They have to close a lane. They can't keep the road open, but they would keep one lane open at all times. So they would have traffic control, stopping and starting each side. So what they said, you know, looking at their numbers, pretty high. We said, well, what could we do to save on that? He said, well, if they could close pieces of the road to through traffic while they're working in that area. And basically that just saves on the cost of the time for people to be able to stand there and do the flag. So that would be basically when they're working from 8 to 5. It would still be open at night or in times when they're not working. If there was an emergency vehicle or somebody that lived in there or had to get to one of those places, they could still let them in. But you wouldn't have traffic going through all the time because they're going, you know, when they're digging out, they have more room to put dirt on the road and that kind of thing to clean it up. So that was
How, on the green part, how are people supposed to get to that?
they would.
Like shoppers. Are they going to be able to walk to the shops?
Yes, you would still have, because they're not going to have everything closed. It's just there's only so much room to work in there. So you would still have access to businesses and things. Now there's going to be some time, you could still walk the sidewalks. There'll be some time, obviously, where you have to tear it out, pour that section and pour it back. We had the same thing on Main Street. You do it in pieces so that you minimize the disruption. The good thing in that area, most of the properties don't have the structure right up against the sidewalk like they did on Main Street. So you can pour a section and they can get around to the side or something else to get up to the structures.
But you're talking closing the road in those sections
And that just
to
saves,
any kind of vehicle traffic from 8 to 5.
and that just saves 45,000.
It's not very much money.
So you got a lot of people that are concerned about that. That's what I heard tonight.
I understand, and what we were looking for, some of the comments that we heard was we don't want to strip the project. We don't want to make it look bad, but we want, you know, what are things that we can do to save some money? That's something that we can do to save some money. At the end of the day, when the project's done, it'll look the same, but there's going to be more pain in the process.
And you haven't talked to any of these folks that have written me, is that right?
That's correct. The next item that we looked at was deleting the water line where it crosses Main Street. I think I can show this. Right now, there's 2 water lines on Main Street, and there's 2 water lines on Sunset. We're going to put in a new water line on Sunset. We're going to kill both of the lines that's in there now. Both of the lines on Main Street will remain. One of the reasons we looked at deleting this section is not because that line doesn't need, well, actually the lines do not cross Main Street now, they tie into this line. I think that's a 4-inch, this one's an 8-inch. We wanted to go all the way across to the 8 so that we would have more flow. It's not going to be that much more flow because we still have more flow than we have now, particularly if we go all the way to Valley Boulevard. But to replace that section of pipe, we have to repave the whole intersection. And they're striping and everything else. So it's not just the cost of the water line, it's the cost of tearing everything up and fixing everything back. Because this is DOT Street. So what we would propose is we would stop the line here at the crosswalk, tie into the existing 6-inch line because we're putting the 6-inch in. We would cap the 4-inch that's in there now and not do that section across Main Street. That altogether saves $29,604. Most of that I don't remember the breakdown. Most of that is in street costs. There's 3,000 and some in the actual water line cost itself.
Now, those water line costs $200 a foot? Yes.
I can look back at the detailed numbers. I think they, the new water lines with asphalt repair was 6-inch was $75, 8-inch was $140. We didn't have much 8-inch though. Sewer line was $200. Another item that was discussed at the retreat was the 2-foot cobble paver strip to remove that. And I know this is hard to see, but I want to try to show you where that was, because what we tried to do was replicate Main Street, curb gutter, paver strip, sidewalk, because there's a couple areas that are tight, particularly on the upper end down to I think all the way to Main. There's not enough room for the paver strip. So, but we do have pavers from there down to Ransom, and then on the north side below Ransom, we don't have pavers in front of the church because we're going back really with sidewalk, curb, gutter, because that's in the church's area. So I've highlighted in red, if we remove those, that would save us $86,630.
There was,
But you do have grass to maintain in the process, and that does change the look of the project.
there was $178,000 in pavers, so you're leaving pavers somewhere.
Yes, there are areas where we leave pavers. The other thing is, some of the areas we're using the paver to supplement the width of the street. I mean, the width of the sidewalk, so we had add a little bit of concrete back to that. And the pavers are one of the areas where the contractor gave us a lower price.
We asking questions right now. Doug, we used to have what you're talking about with grass right out front.
Mm-hmm.
It became a huge tripping hazard.
Well, if you have it on Main Street, the problem was the pavers were next to the parking spaces, and when people park there, step out, they just couldn't get grass to stay. So that was part of the problem, was keeping grass in those areas.
So what's going to be different here? No parking?
About half of it has parking, about half of it doesn't.
But we have Chris now.
So the half that has parking doesn't get pavers?
Well, no, I would recommend we do pavers all the way through. It's just cleaner and it's easier to maintain.
Rather than grass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, there's a couple of spots that has landscaping, but
Let's go backwards to that water line.
okay.
And I know you won't take offense, but why did you engineer it like that to begin with?
Because in the long run, it will be better because it ties into a larger water line. Now, I also say at the end of the day, that line on Main Street is one of the lines that really does need to be replaced. That's probably the hardest line in Blowing Rock to replace because the road's already been paved, everything's through there. It's going to be tough to replace that water line.
Well, what do you, I have to rely on your expertise. You're a professional engineer. Will this jeopardize anything that we're working toward?
No, it won't.
Okay.
They're going to have to repave that in 5 years anyway.
No, actually DOT's going to do it at the earliest next year, and could be the next year after that. So that water line, could it not wait till DOT
That's
gets
what I
ready
was
to
gonna
repave? Yeah.
Yeah.
And go ahead. What do you think?
It's possible.
When they repave that street, we can put the water line in
We could.
in a year or two.
Yeah, because then you're cutting most of your expense, which is the paving, right?
But here we go splintering.
Well, it's true.
Well, you'll pay less for the paving. You'll end up paying more for the water line because you won't get the water line. You won't get that piece of water line put in for this amount of money.
Right. Because they're already here.
Yeah. Because you have a good price for the water line.
If you had to pay for it, what would you do? You've made an opinion on the pavers, and I accept it.
That's probably the one that I struggle with the most is the water line. And really the reason I say that is it's just a lot of money to pay for the road. The water, in my mind, it's no decisions to replace the water line because the water line cost is not that high. The pavement cost is just what's tough about that. So I think at the end of the day, you'd be better off if you went ahead and replaced it, if you replaced it all now. But if the goal is to save money, I think that's an easy place to save money, and at the end and we won't get a worse project.
Yeah, but versus 2 million, it's not a ton of money. I want to do this right one time. Period.
Well, and part of our task was to find items. So that's what we did. We looked for items, and I don't think they're all good items, but.
Well, I commend you on what you've done. Don't misunderstand. I just don't want to start taking this thing apart, and then we have to go back and all that foolishness.
Right.
But our history of that isn't very good. We're ripping up streets every time I turn around in this town.
Yeah.
If you were looking at that, Doug, I know it's gonna cost more just to have that done at that certain time. Is the savings that we're saving, the 29, will that offset what it will cost then? What are you looking at it probably costing when, say, DOT comes through and paves that, if we do the water line then? What would your estimate be?
I haven't thought about that. It's not much pipe, but I mean, it's going to be a pain in the neck to put across there.
Right.
So
I mean, would you say we're at a washout on the 29, or do you think it's going to cost us considerable more?
I think I think you could get the water line across there for less. Now, they're going to ask you to put a lot of asphalt in there, even if they overlay the top of it. And I don't know what their plan will be to pave the road. You know, historically, they've paved the road, made it higher. So the parking spaces are getting steeper and steeper. So hopefully when they come through and pave next time, they're going to take several inches off before they put asphalt down.
What was it, about, I guess maybe 10 years ago, that it was last time it was milled down through there? I guess something like that, you know, because it had gotten such a hump in the road.
We did the pavers. The next one we looked at, we have a number of pavers at the intersection at Ransom Street. And the best way I can show that is we had to give it some character. So these yellow areas are pavers in the plan that we have as we have it bid. And then it's hard to see, these little dots around there are the tactile pavers, the pavers that have the little knobs on them so that if you're blind, you can find them. So those would have to stay. We'll have to keep those pavers, but we can take out all these yellow pavers and just pour concrete in there. That saves us $13,966.
Or it could be grass.
Well, no, that couldn't, because that's the sidewalk.
Oh, okay.
That spot couldn't.
What
Okay.
does concrete do? It's not when will it crack, it's when it's gonna crack.
Well, I mean, but you have concrete sidewalks all through the project, so you know that's not necessary. I wouldn't look at it from that as being a reason to go or not go. I would keep the pavers at the intersection because it gives it character. It makes it look better. Because
it would match Main Street.
You know, we're not doing gateway improvements out at Valley Boulevard yet, but you'll do that in the future. And as you do that, you're going to change the scope of what this looks like. Honestly, when you look at what it's going to look like coming off of Valley Boulevard, and you're not going to see just parking on both sides everywhere, it's going to change the look of what that area looks like now. The next item, last item that we looked at,
Look at that grass, isn't it pretty?
We had 29 trees that come out of that area, and they vary in size. And I tried to look. We've got hundreds of photos down through there, so I tried to use some of those to show you what some of the trees look like. Some of those are small trees that would be easy to remove. Some of them are larger trees that are a lot more to remove. But removing the tree stumps and all in the bid was $38,280. It has to be done. I mean, we're not going to avoid it, but one option would be to use town staff to try to do that. That's work that you know, they're not doing now.
So we're
I mean,
paying
so that's
for it
something else you
in
would
a
have to do.
different part
You
of
would
the
have,
budget.
yeah, you would have a cost.
Yeah, that's just,
And do our personnel have the time to do it?
We ain't
So it's
gonna-
no savings.
no,
Not only
that's a
that,
wash
we
right there.
can't even do it for that kind of money.
So those are the items that we looked
By the
at.
time we take that shit to the dump.
Well, I like that. Good,
Uh,
good job.
So what
Thank you
I'll
for-
do is turn it over to Nicole, and she's going to talk about how the funds would come from to cover that.
Here's the big enchilada with me. As you, I think, know, I went into the Baptist church one time and had my hat handed to me about the drainage problem there. Is this going to take care of that drainage problem? All we're doing, $2 million.
Well, and I think I put.
You,
I didn't
you
put
put
on.
that, you did
We
put
added
that in.
that, we added that at
If
the
we do the
retreat.
part on the
Yeah.
321.
It's
The,
200 grand
To
to do
add
it.
sewer, right now, we talked about this retreat.
It's 200
That
grand.
dash sewer line was the bid alternate for the sewer from Ransom towards Valley Boulevard. And we talked about the sewer issue at this manhole. We looked at, with the contractor adding another sewer line from that manhole to the new main, and that cost us $43,360 to put a parallel sewer line in there to address the sewer issues that are happening
And
there.
that will take care of the Baptist church issue there.
Everything related to sewer. I don't know that there's stormwater issues there, but
That's what you
Wouldn't
got
grass
to do.
help with
Both.
stormwater issues?
Well, how far back are you gonna take the sidewalk?
the sidewalk stops. It really just stops right there on, near the corner, because there's already a sidewalk there.
Okay.
Where's the stormwater drain?
There's a drain somewhere, there's a drain in that area.
Yeah, and that does plug up, just to let you know. So you're saying, did I hear you say it's not gonna fix the stormwater drain problem?
Well, there's stormwater drains there now, because we're not working back in that area. The only thing we could try to do is go in there and lower that somehow, because everything in that area is real flat.
Well, I think the church deserves
Jim.
not to have to put up with water coming in their sanctuary.
Jim just had a good point, and that is, if we go forward with this bid process, you know, once that construction starts, the crew's there, and we could look at funding, additional funding for 60 feet or 50 feet of storm sewer at that time.
Well, there's,
It's 120 grand.
there's storm drainage in that area. There's a large culvert that comes under Ransom Street here, and there are culverts that go all the way down to the corner, and then go down through those parking spaces all the way to the river. I think it
So
ends
it
up
could be tied.
yeah, there's storm drains in there. There's big storm drains in there. If the inlets aren't big enough, because we've talked about this over a lot of times, it's not just carrying the storm water, it's catching it.
Right.
If you take 2 handfuls of leaves and it's gonna stop up a drain somewhere.
And then we
So-
have a lot coming into that one because the one coming down by the school comes into that one
That's
also.
right.
You know.
Yeah, it drains all the way up by the school. Some of what's on Hospital Hill comes that way.
Right.
If it rains hard enough, even though it's supposed to go out Chestnut down by your house, down through the hole, when it rains hard enough and there's a pile of leaves, it doesn't always do that. Sometimes it comes this way, all the way from Morris Street.
Because I know we talked one time about redoing that junction box there to see if that would help. Because we had all that come in.
So
Well,
there,
it should.
if we needed to add another grate in that area, or we could do that pretty simple because there's already storm pipes there. It would just be adding an inlet. And we've proposed that we set aside a contingency. We could use that contingency when we get done, as we get towards the end of the project to address that.
Well, could doesn't get it with me. I want a will.
It'll happen.
That's your word. I
Jim
want his
will
word.
make through.
I want his word.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
You will be cognizant of this problem, and you will take care of it.
Yes.
That's good enough for me.
Is this the same plan that you had something going into the creek from Ransom Road?
Yeah, this will take, the bid alternate for the sewer takes the sewer from Ransom down to the line there across from the church. Well, it goes past the church.
And how much was that extra?
It was $90,000.
$178,000?
That part was $97,020, and then this piece is $43,360.
So it's $140,000.
But that is part of our long-term plan
Yeah.
for the main sewer line to the wastewater plant.
So the summary is how much is some gonna cost?
Well, I think what we need.
Nicole's gonna take care of that.
Nicole's got all the money.
And how she's gonna pay for it?
Before we get there, where, you know, $1 million underestimated, where were the estimates off?
It was a lot, it was across a lot of things. There weren't, there wasn't one big smoking gun. There was a lot of items. Really, a lot of the items all the way across were a little bit high. Some just more than others.
Like water and sewer, or the pavers, or?
The streetscape was more than the water and sewer, but all of it was. And part of it's because some people don't want to work on streetscape projects because they're hard. Some of it's because of maybe location or workload. The good thing is we did have, I felt like we had 3 good competitive bids.
Why didn't we, instead of seeing this $1 million difference, as we were discussing the banks, the duck banks, why didn't we see this change over time as with these inflated prices?
I don't know that I wouldn't have anticipated those prices being that high.
But as we were looking, we saw the prices change with the duck banks, and I remember you saying, look, the longer this takes, the more it costs with the duck banks. Why didn't the rest of the plan, that happen with the rest of the plan?
I don't know how to explain it.
Well, did you just not look at it along the way? I mean, it could have just been a mistake that you were just looking at the duck bank and not the rest of the plan?
No, I think the duck bank's been pretty consistent along the way. That price has. The streetscape, that market seems to have changed over the last years, or maybe even less.
And it's changed down in Hickory and other places, not just in Blowing Rock?
Yes.
Well, I was satisfied with the bid variances and the bid. I think,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
as you said, you wouldn't have anticipated it being this high.
Correct. We had 2 bids. We had 3 bids. The 2 low bids were within a few percent, so that tells us they're pretty good. They're pretty tight.
So
You mean between
you just made
M&M? Between M&M and Iron Mountain? Between M&M and Iron, they were pretty close?
Iron Mountain and King General were the 2 lowest bidders.
What?
M&M was the 3rd bidder.
2 first in line. M is
Oh,
on
yeah.
the way out, on the side. Boy, they just don't.
Where is the part where we were talking about the bridge?
That's where they
That's
were
the
talking
concrete.
about rock and the concrete.
Okay, versus the fence.
It's beside the bridge.
But I thought that was $200,000 when we talked about it at the retreat.
No, the number we talked about at the retreat was we thought it would save $100,000.
$100,000.
Yeah, and by the time we actually got some materials picked and those kind of things, it turned out to be $88,800.
Okay.
All right, Nicole, where are we gonna get the money?
All right. So what we did is we just went ahead and tried to fund the full project with no cost savings. and funded all of the additions so that we could start there. And then if council wanted to not do some of the additions, or if council wanted to take advantage of some of the cost saving areas, you could have the flexibility to do that. So we looked at our bond funding, and I realize that looks a little hard to see, but you should also have that in front of you. We looked at the bond funding that we have, and we basically targeted 3 different areas. We targeted funds that we already have in hand and we've not expended yet, and we don't have a plan to expend, or maybe we saved in some areas. And then we looked at what we planned on using for streetscape, and then we looked at what else do we have on the table that we've not, do we have plans for that? Do we have needs for that? So we sat down and determined the areas where we could pull from in future planned issuance, and do it that way. So the full project, no deductions, all the alternates and additions, is $2,836,170, and the areas where we would fund that would consist of current funds on hand of $656,988. Issue 4 funds that we would be expressing early would be $1,122,187, and those would be coming from various different projects, that we've looked at and determined that we didn't have a plan for at this time. And some of those can be taken care of in allocating funds. Building, we've talked about building reserves for things such as ditch line repairs and road failure repairs, building reserves to take care of those. And then the third pot is the issue 3 funds that were already planned for streetscape in the beginning. So the third already planned funding would amount to $1,056,996. So you can see that's just on the total project level. If we drill it down to the different segments, we have the transportation and sidewalks area where we were looking for $1,111,483 in additional funding needed for the project. So we have issued 2 $40,000. That's road failure repair funding that is remaining on hand that we've not used. Issue 4, we have $300,000 in road failure repairs planned for the future, but again, there is no specific plan for those fundings. Ditch line repairs, another $40,000 remaining in issue 2, and additional planned in issue 4 of $300,000, and then culvert replacements of $300,000. Future sidewalks in issue 2 that we currently have on hand total $46,000, and carriage trail work in issue 2 that we have remaining is $10,139, and that was just left over from the project that we did. Paving issue 3, we're expecting, we've come in under on the paving that we've bid out, so that would be a small amount of paving there, $10,357, basically to balance us up, while we do have some funding remaining from the issue 2 paving amounting to $64,549. So those are our different sources, and those are the areas where we would be basically allocating from in future issuances. If you drop down to the water side, the total that we were looking for there, the differential was $264,154, and in order to fund that, we are proposing the area of other lines and repairs that we have on hand of $29,360, other lines and repairs planned for issue 3, $25,965, Maple Street water in issue 4, a portion of that, $20,000. Go Forth water, a portion of that again, $95,915, and then Green Hill water, a portion of that as well, $92,915. So those those three items, the Maple Street Water, Goforth Water, and West Green Hill Water, that would still leave funding remaining for those projects, you know, for later. It would just take part of the funding. So if you go down, the next area is the sewer portion. That's $322,108. And we had some funding left over from bond, council, and interest funding that came in below. And then again, other lines and repairs planned for issue 4, $3,000. And then I study funding $60,000. And then other lines and repairs in issue 1 that we have on hand today, $256,358. And I will mention also that we've had conversations with our bond counsel and our financial advisor for the bond funding, and they have advised us that we need to use funds on hand as best we can prior to issuing any new debt. We're kind of at this point where we need to make sure we spend down as much as we can. So that's part of this too. That's part of why, you know, we're proposing the current funding that we have on hand. Let's utilize it towards this for sure, or towards something to go ahead and spend that down. And we're looking at pushing out, you know, we had conversations earlier about issuing our third bond debt in April. We're looking at more like the beginning of June, maybe the end of May.
So in other words, Nicole, what you're saying is any of these bond monies that are laying dormant, we have to use.
We
They
do.
have to be used.
We do.
Or then we will lose them, or have to repay it.
Yes, if we've already issued the debt and gone ahead and, you know, borrowed the money, we do need to be spending it, you know, before we issue any more. Yeah.
You can ask who TDA.
How much more money do we have besides what's here that we have to spend?
Well, I don't have exactly that information with me. I wasn't prepared for that, so I
Do
could
you
get
have
that
an
for
estimate?
you.
I guess my point is,
This
I
is-
don't think I, as a council person, know how much money we have left.
She was just, a new bond or old bond?
Old bond.
Old bond.
And, but what I'm hearing you say is we've got to spend this down. And I guess every time somebody wants 20,000 here, they want 30,000 there. And I don't know that it's necessarily the priorities that the council had in mind, and that we had talked to about the residents. So if there's a chance that we could get together and maybe look, and that would give you time. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's just I'm feeling like I don't know what's out there. You know, you found $1 million that I didn't know.
Currently on hand,
It was,
656.
some of it, issue 4 is probably not, but that we had on hand, and maybe there were some projects that we're looking at funding that we could, if it meets the guidelines of the bond, that we could use. So I just think it would make me feel better if I knew how much money we had, so that we can maybe look at, well, what are our priorities? Do we want to put it here, or do we want to put it there? And maybe I'm the only one that's thinking this, but.
No, I don't.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point, sir.
Well,
And
I
now-
want to know about that TDA money, and I'm not adamant about it, because I got the slap in that retreat. Around $280,000 has been set aside for those grotesque-looking things that we started off with down there at Keith's service station.
So are you talking about the gateway
Yes.
funding? Okay.
That money's in TDA's bank account, I'm assuming.
No, that's been paid to the town, so that's in our funding.
Is that part of this project, Nicole?
No, that's not being utilized here.
Well, are we just going to
Specific funding?
let the bureaucratic gobbler get it, or are we going to use it?
Yeah, that's just her mad money.
We're not
for
going to use it?
shopping.
So the gateway was planned as a separate project.
Okay.
So, you know, I did not utilize that funding here because the TDA and giving that designated that towards the gateway.
Well, what are we gonna do, just leave that money up there? I mean,
We should probably talk to the
$282,000?
TVA, Albert.
Well, you just
You
gotta
know,
use
my
towards-
guess is
it's
that
gotta be
when
used towards the
the
gateway.
road's done.
Or a
still do
gateway.
something.
Contributed towards, it was
Or a
contributed towards the
gateway,
gateway. Mhm.
right?
I would think you could repurpose it, in the proper way. You'd have to
Right. But it's not chump change.
reclassify it. That's correct.
You made a comment about how you felt about the gateway plan that you had before. There's been 3 or 4 or 5 gateway plans over the last number of years, including the one that ASU did to begin with, had a bus stop. So the thing may be to look at what you want to get out of the gateway that you can do for more towards that budget money than a much larger budget money.
Right, I'm gonna use the money.
Right.
Well, let's move forward. Where you at,
Okay,
guys?
I have a question. I added up your, potential cost saving items here, and it's $355,000. But you didn't add that up in the deletions below there. You just used the ones that you wanted deleted, not the all of them, just
Yeah,
the
I
ones
used-
you recommended.
I used the ones that we recommended.
And you left out the other ones.
Correct, and Nicole didn't include any deletions in her numbers.
So we have $355,000.
Gonna do it right, because we'll know we will not go back and do sunset again. I mean, if you're gonna do it, do it.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that pavers are doing it right. I wouldn't have voted for pavers on Main Street, Charlie, so I can do my vote as I want to do my vote.
You would
Oh,
have if
yeah,
you got
yeah.
your foot
I
caught.
don't deny that, I'm just
No,
saying.
you said if we don't do it this way, it's not done right.
Well, I just feel like it needs to be done right. And if that's without the pavers, that's fine and good. I'm just saying, I don't think we ought to cut corners, is what I'm saying, okay? If we need a water line here, let's do the water line there, you know, that's what I'm saying.
This is money that we are borrowing and we're getting interest on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not money that's granted to us, so we have to think about all of this money, and there can be give and take. That's why we had them do all of this math,
That's right.
to have the option of talking this through.
Could we
So
put
I
up-
just was letting you guys know, the rest of y'all, that there's $355,000. He did not add that into the deductions, and Nicole has not taken that out of this money that were taken away from other projects that we have planned for
That's
the
not what
bond
she
money,
said.
and that's how we got the bond money, is we planned these phases of projects to get the bond money.
I'm gonna put the paver issue up again on the wall.
You mean the bridge or the wall,
Now,
creek? What she's
Virginia's
speaking.
talking about. There appears to be two things, right?
$100,000 worth of pavers.
But for whatever it's worth, we used to have a strip right out front here, and people caught their shoes in the thing, and because there was no more grass in there, and fell and all this kind of stuff. If we eliminate the pavers and put in grass, how big is the strip going to be?
It will generally be about 2 feet wide. There may be some spaces it'll be a little bit narrower.
Well, that's quite a difference from 5 inches we had out here.
Well, there were places out here, I don't remember this side of the street, but I know on the other side of the street, there was a strip about 18 to 24 inches.
Nobody fell there, but they did here.
Yeah.
That's my only concern.
I mean, if we put grass, it's a lot more maintenance that has to be done over time.
And it dies, and it gets, then the ground gets hard as a brick, and nothing will grow there. That's what happened.
And what she's getting at, though, is that if we put the grass in, we can always go back at a later date, put the pavers in, when we got the money.
You could.
We could. That's what we're getting at. What I want to know, at the end of the day, is how are we going to do this project?
She just told
Where
us.
we gonna get the money?
She just told us.
She did.
Yes, she did.
I know. She showed me where we're gonna do it. And then we're robbing from Peter to pay Paul one day,
Well,
aren't we?
but those projects, particularly the road, street transportation projects, are unidentified projects. There was money set aside for ditch lines, road failures, and culverts in the future, but we fixed those that were identified in the first round.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is up there, you have 1, 2, 3, you got $300,000, and up in the first block, the second block, $300,000 that you're taking from that phase 3. 3 times, 300,000, 900 grand,
Correct.
right? And you're telling me that we have no projects identified for that 900 grand.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So if we weren't doing this project, we didn't need this extra money, we wouldn't have to borrow the money.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we wouldn't pay any interest, right?
Right, but why did we
But
get the
Sunset
bond
would
for
look
that?
just like it does
That's
now,
right.
which is not too good.
No, it isn't. I mean, it doesn't. It looks like a third world driveway. I agree.
All right, what do y'all want to do?
I don't wanna do it but one time.
Well,
I want to respond for a minute just to the question about the funds that we do have on hand. I can tell you that this was really drilled down. So we are just about spending all the money that we do have on hand doing it this way. And then you can reference back that we did provide a spreadsheet at retreat that showed, you know, the funds that were remaining. So that would kind of give you an idea. But this, we did drill down, I mean, just about utilizing all of those funds on hand. So, you
So
know,
we don't have any left, is what you're saying?
not
Not
doing
that's,
this.
what you're
plan.
saying, not that's already borrowed. There's still
Not that's
money
already
to be
borrowed.
borrowed in
Yeah,
another issue.
I understand.
Or if there is something currently, you know,
Working on and
happening,
we have extra.
we didn't get into those funds.
yeah. So I guess what I'm getting at too is we have people who wanted some sewers, right?
Yeah, we had an intern that did the study, and I haven't seen that report, and we talked to our about phasing in the neighborhoods that we needed the most and starting to link people up to the sewer line
So this wasn't necessarily, I mean, we could have used this money
to start.
to get at some of these things that we really should be providing.
Was
So
it
if we're
to
gonna do
build
this-
new sewer, or was it to repair what we had?
That's a
When we
good
did the bond.
That is the question. People made buying decisions knowing they did or did not have sewer.
Right.
Guys, we've got to move forward on Sunset.
Give
Y'all
us
need
some
to
time
decide
to talk
on
it out,
how.
Charlie.
No,
There-
I mean, you need to decide,
What do you want us to decide on?
well, we've got to make a decision
Start
tonight
on
if
the
you're gonna,
first page.
Sunset's gonna start.
Well, it's not gonna start for a month, so anyway.
But you gotta award the bids and they have to plan it, guys. I'm not meaning to push you, but I know all these people on Sunset, they want it done. And I know it's the cost overruns or, well, I know. and I agree, and we need to save.
The way that I'm looking at it, and I don't know how the rest of y'all are looking at it, but the paver, I think that the first, so I'm looking at page 186. If you want to go back there, up high on the, I don't know if you want to, but we can look at it on our
Okay.
electronic devices. Jim,
What
would
is
you
it?
like to go back to that on the
Go to
slide?
186. Right where you are. That's where you are.
Okay.
That's 186. Okay, go for it.
So the, that's the, okay, the first thing is I'm waiting for you to get that slide up there, Jim. Or Doug.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's right here.
Do they have?
Go back to where he had the cost saving items, please.
They're not on one sheet here.
186.
Yeah, they were individual.
What you got,
Okay,
page
I'm on page 186 on y'all's.
186.
Albert,
Mine says-
can you
I don't
get,
have one of these.
I
okay,
got 70.
can you share?
70, page 70.
It's page 70.
Right.
Oh, you've got page 70. Okay, I'm sorry, I can go back to page 70.
It's the same. sheet
Not in my
was-
packet.
When it was loaded, it was.
Thank
you. That's okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
It's the same.
go
Okay,
ahead.
so we're on page
70.
70 or 186, because
Right.
it was doubled.
All right, we're on it.
Okay. The first one, Doug, is the subcontract. He found that he could save us some money.
Yes.
Okay, so let's keep that one. The second one, as I'm understanding it, is the bridge savings. Is that right? $88,000?
Yes.
Okay. The third one is to close the road.
That's all
I don't think we should close the road.
I agree.
We've promised
I agree with you.
We've promised them that we're not closing the road. We kept the road open on, I think we should take that one out. So far I've got keep 1, keep number 2, take out number 3. The water line across Main Street,
Take that out.
take that out. Keep taking that one out because it sounds like the DOT is gonna come back and pave, and that's not a big expense. Take that one out. The pavers, y'all know how I feel about pavers. I'd like to keep that one in. That's number 5. Number 6 is pavers.
You wanna keep,
I want to take it out. I want to take it out. So on my list right now, I've got everything, all the deletions so far, except for closing the blocks.
What numbers do you want to keep?
I'm keeping 1, 2, 4, 5. Number 6 are the other pavers. And I'd just like to make a comment about pavers. My mom had a walker, and we're walking over cobblestones down in Charleston. They're a lot like pavers. It is just as dangerous as grass. And we've got Chris now. I think he can keep our grass even. I'm not worried about the grass and pavers. The last one is the stumps and the trees. That's a wash. If our town does it versus these guys do it, that's a wash. We've got to pay for that either in time of our town people or not. So right now, the number I'm coming up with is,
She wants to keep that one.
you gotta find 83,000,
Keep that one.
280.
Keep this one.
we could save, so
Keep
if
this
we
one.
keep 1,
Okay.
if we keep 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, we can save $317,184. Now, the math that we'll have to do now is, appropriately with Nicole, the projects that are designated, try to keep those with this $300,000. I mean, that's for her math to do, but if we can save $317,000, we're already over $1 million. I think it's worthwhile to do that. That's my motion.
You're saying that's
Are you
coming
making,
off
are
the
you making a
million?
motion?
I'm making a motion.
Okay,
So-
she's made a motion to keep.
To keep,
1,
so if
2.
you look at our list here,
When you say keep, are you saying?
I'm saying take it out.
In other words, take it out. In other words, keep
Yes,
it on the
we
sheet,
want
but
these
take it
cost
out.
savings.
Take it off.
We want, number 1, we want to
Take
save
it off the
money
$1 million.
on.
You want, tell
The
me what you
paver.
want.
I want to save money in, that first $53,000 that
Okay.
he did the math. I want to save that money, of course. Number 2, let's save money on the bridge, $88,000. Number 3,
You're gonna keep, that's closing the
Yeah,
road.
You're not- yeah.
Doug and I, some others of us, it's Albert and I, talked to the Sunset people and told them we would keep the road open. I don't wanna go back on that. We sat down with them and looked them in the eyes. Number 4, I want to save money on the Main Street. I didn't know about DOT coming in a few years. So let's, I don't think Doug knew that. So let's save that money. Number 5, let's save $86,000 on the pavers. And then number 6 are more pavers on the corners. $13,000.
So you're taking that out.
I'm saving that money.
Saving the money.
Yes.
Identify where the pavers are.
They're on Sunset and Ransom. And down Sunset, right?
That's
Yeah.
$100,000
That's
of pavers
Yeah,
that we
that's-
can do later.
Small grassed areas of what they'll be.
Small grassed areas. We've got Chris. We've had grass for over 200 years since 1889. We can do that later. And then number 7, we all agreed it's a wash whether the town or the let's
So let them have that one.
let them have that.
So the pavers at the corners are not involved with you?
They are.
You know, you have to do pavers at the corners or concrete.
Well-
You're gonna do concrete?
Concrete.
I'm sorry, that's
13,000.
instead of pavers, we're doing concrete there.
Yes.
Right, it's not grass. I'm
Except for
sorry.
at the strip along the handicap ramp.
There, it's bumpy there. If
Yeah.
you've been walking with Doug, there are bumps there. You know what I'm talking about.
So we're gonna look at concrete.
But
Yeah,
you still have-
it's
you
gonna
still
be
do the bumpy
concrete
things.
instead of pavers. Yeah,
But number 5, you're talking about putting grass in instead of pavers, correct?
that is grass. That's 2-foot
Are you
strips of
happy now
grass.
with the grass?
I'm very happy, and I want it back on Main Street. No, I'm happy with the grass. But we saved $317,184.
Okay.
And we get to look at concrete.
And we're looking at concrete instead of pavers on the corners.
Okay, she's made a motion.
So now we only have to come up with 800,000?
800,000.
And if you get that 200 from TDA's thing, you don't have to get that much. But no, we don't wanna look at that. I don't know why.
And that's something.
Beyond me.
And that's
Okay.
something that Nicole, we
I
can work with
added
Nicole
all these
on.
savings up, and I got $355,591.
Well, but I'm getting the cold water on it.
And then
No,
I
you're not.
subtracted these 2 out.
Why
We just
am I
gotta
not?
ask for it. We gotta get
Oh,
a
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
I'm
there's no
sorry.
reason to discuss it.
If we're gonna
here.
do
I
it,
did
we gotta
this
get a
one.
waiver.
We're looking at award.
Waiver.
Minus
You haven't
45.
cheapened the job of that damn concrete.
Minus. I'm sorry, we will save 272,200 and, I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long day.
Okay, so we've got a
We will
motion.
save
Longer night.
You think maybe-
$272,229,000.
So now we have to find,
We found it, it's there.
We're taking
She's
from
found
other
it.
projects.
Well, and some of that money was earmarked for projects that have been completed, and now that money's got to be used.
But if
Okay.
if we can save $272,000 and
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you.
put it with the ones that there are earmarked projects, I saw them, and keep those in place, that would be good.
Well, you've made a motion, and her motion was to keep those particular savings in place. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I wanna clarify where there are gonna be no pavers. I think I know, but I wanna know.
Sunset,
Can you
They'll
pull
be-
that map up again, Doug?
at Sunset and Ransom, there's gonna be concrete with the little
There'll
pavers
be,
you put for Brandon.
so really on the north side from Maple, basically Maple all the way down past where the drugstore is now, there won't be a paper strip. There'll be sidewalk, curb gutter, and grass strip.
Pretty much like it is now.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, sure.
from the elementary school bus driveway down to Ransom Street on the south side.
So remember
Can you
that.
call
pretty
that
cur-
up? Can you call it up? You had it up a while ago.
So
That's
he,
it.
That's it.
No, I mean, the corners.
Oh, the corner.
oh, that'll be concrete. That's not pavers.
Yeah, it's got-
It's concrete instead of pavers.
We're doing away with that.
No, I misspoke about that.
It would be
I
concrete
misspoke.
She misspoke about
instead of
it.
pavers in those areas.
Those are gonna be pavers and concrete.
Those are not,
This-
That's sidewalk.
they're not
This
in
would be-
your motion.
They are.
Yes, they are.
That is smooth concrete so nobody trips and falls. The pavers are labor and individual, and they will save $13,000 by
It's
doing
number 6.
smooth concrete instead of bumpy pavers there. It's less labor, so it saves money.
Well, I understand that, but you ever poured concrete, it's labor too.
Okay. What is?
So where he had the, if you'll pull up where those tree stumps were, that's where the grass will still be, except the trees won't be there.
Oh,
You'll
so
have curb and guttering.
I mean, and there'll be curb and
It won't
gutter.
be the
It'll be
same-
curb and
necessarily
gutter,
the
won't be
same
that
amount of
wide.
grass.
It'll probably
be
be
that wide.
less grass, but that's where it'll stay.
Won't be that wide.
All right, we had a second from Doug. All those in favor of awarding the bid with the changes per motion by Virginia? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
No,
Motion passes.
Just for clarification, as we knew you were gonna do this, make sure we have the right number on the contract award.
So with the deducts of 272, 229, that would be the, bring the contract to 2,327,932.
And that's doing the extension from Sunset, from Ransom down. We're adding all that, we'll keep everything.
You tell him he missed it.
Contract.
Yes. The new contract would be 2,327,932.
they had a chance to do it right, they didn't.
2 million, what is it?
2,327,932.
Oh, that's Charlie's.
So you're looking at Iron Mountain's bid, their total was.
2 million, 2.
I have a total of 2,600,161 with all of the additions and no deducts. So then you identified 272,229 in deducts. So take that off. We come to 2,327,932. Do you
2 million.
Okay,
agree with that, Doug?
I'm looking at, 2,366,171 for iron. What am I missing?
Are you adding remember the additions that were made down there for Ransom and Main Street?
2 million, 3? Is it 2 million, 3?
2,327,932 is my figure. Do you confirm that?
Yeah, with the bid alternates and the 43,
Yeah.
360 for the sewer beside the church.
Yeah.
Remember, we added the extended, to get the sewer up to 321 where there was better,
Yeah, okay.
And you're gonna work out the new numbers where you get that money.
Yeah, the contract will have to come in.
Well, yeah, I mean, what we would do, the best thing to do is we need to identify some of the future issuance money and go ahead and put that back towards those identified projects. So that when, again, we're using funds on hand first.
And then for the next year or so, we pray that we don't need any new roads or paved and sewers.
Well, we're
and-
keeping paving money.
That
Alright,
is not what she's saying.
Moving forward, guys.
Okay.
Okay, council's retreat priority plan status. Page 80.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for finding
Doug,
those
thank you. Nicole, thanks. Thanks, Virginia.
deductions and doing all the math again.
What are we
Nicole,
on
thank you.
now?
I got
Page 80.
196, but I don't know what your page is.
What page?
You're gonna be looking at this inside the agenda packet that you have, and as you all directed us at the end of the meeting, the retreat, is to go back with staff and put another column back there. And we did that as in who the participants were and who you want to talk to in that. You also directed us that starting forward in that, and we just finished that last agenda, that on some of these projects, not so much the board appointments, that you wanted to be able to track them. And that's what we have here is in your Sunset project. We backed it up in there to show you a draft of a 6-month activity plan that we were going to follow through on the Sunset project and then reassess ourselves after that period of time. So really, unless there's any other changes, we're just reporting back what you all directed us to do is, first of all, these are your priorities.
Okay.
This is what you set up. Those are your 5. And you wanted to know who, if you had to go to somebody in that or your new manager, those are the people responsible. And I did talk to the departments that in your next retreat, that those that didn't make the 5, they need to be working on those so they can have some kind of report to you in regard to the status of where they are.
Okay.
So, unless there's any questions, it was just a reporting back to you all. Let's see if there's any more changes on that.
It's excellent.
Thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
Aaron, I'll finish with that.
All right, next is the 2019 meeting calendar. Are you all at this? Jay, everybody okay with those prospective dates?
I can't make the 20th of May. Did you get my?
I think it
Yeah.
moved to April 29th, didn't it?
I can move it to the 29th. Can y'all? Or you're gone for the
No,
29th?
I'm leaving on the 20 of
Where are you going?
April. April 25th I'm leaving,
When are you
right?
coming back?
April 25th I'm leaving.
To come back when?
May 11th.
So
Oh,
the
then he can
29th
make it.
wouldn't work.
Well,
So
you
he
can make
can't
that
do
one.
May 6th?
Yeah, I can make it.
You can't do May 6th?
No? Right, I
What
can't.
can't you come to, Sue?
I can't come the 20th,
Oh, when?
May.
The 20th.
It's a budget work session.
Budget work session. Right there.
You won't be here?
But
Correct.
you'll be here before that for those other 2?
Correct.
You'll be here for all the May meetings, Jim?
No, he can't
May
make
1st
6th.
through the 11th, I will not be here. But I don't think there's anything going.
Yeah, there is. There's a May 6th.
There's a May 5th, it's a,
6th, budget.
yeah, it's a
6th,
budget, isn't it?
13th.
But is it departmental or is it?
No, it's budget work session. You're gonna wanna be here. I know you.
Yeah, I know it.
Can we do
But I
2?
can't- but I
Can we
can't
do
be
2?
here.
So
So I
those,
can't do it on the
those
6th.
outliers aren't working, so can we do there each week? Can we do 2?
Pretty tough.
Well,
how they
May
have it weekly.
14th is a town council meeting. So we're talking about the 13th being a budget meeting from 1 to 5, correct?
We could.
We've
Yeah.
got it. We've already got that.
Oh, okay.
So the one we have to reschedule is May 6th because he can't make it.
And when
And
are
I
you back?
can't make the 20th.
Okay, so Jim, when are you back?
The 11th.
The
I'll be
11th.
back the night of the 11th.
Okay, so we can't do that week. So can
Do
we
it
do?
Saturday.
No. Can we do?
No, that's the 11th.
Oh, that is the 11th.
Can't do that.
Can we do another one on the week of the 13th? we'll just-
I already have a meeting on the 15th for transportation. And I'll leave on the 16th.
Okay, so that's a no.
Well, it's possible we won't be able to get everybody together.
Right.
I mean,
Well, we've
got so
tried
many people.
awfully hard to do that.
I know.
Because we all want to be involved in budget. What's our timeline, Jim, other Jim, Mr. Freeman?
Yes, ma'am.
What's our timeline is when we have to have this done?
Statutorily, you're recommended to have a balanced budget before the public by June the 1st. And of course, adoption by July 1st, and then in between there, of course, conduct a public hearing for it. So your timeline from the council is trying to do the June. We need to propose, the budget officer needs to propose to you all a balanced budget no later than June the 1st.
So how about the
Proposed.
the
So May
29th?
30th is too late.
So let's push it back into April.
Yeah.
How about the 29th of, you leave the 29th
He leaves the 25th.
5th.
of April? Jim, why didn't you talk to us about this?
All right, let's see, wait a minute. Okay, the Easter
24th.
is the 21st. We could do the, can we do the 22nd?
No, that's Easter Monday, a holiday.
Nope.
One staff, two, I'm out of town also.
I'm out of town then
Do
too.
they get Good Friday or Easter Monday?
We,
It doesn't matter, I mean,
Yeah.
what about Tuesday, the 22nd, the 23rd?
no.
No?
I'm gone. I mean,
Okay. When are you packing? How about the 24th?
Don't worry about that. Just,
Well, how about in the next month?
no, we'll be too late.
No,
It's gotta be in by.
How
can we
about
do it-
Tuesday, the 23rd?
I know, I'm talking about March.
Oh, my God.
Well, I don't
I
think
mean,
we'll
we're
be
getting
ready.
nowhere here. This is crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you know, the department meetings are March 18th.
As usual.
Okay, what you need to do is, let's let Jim, Mr. Freeman, see if he can work out respective dates and let us all know for that, because we're getting nowhere right now.
Okay, so it's the budget work sessions, Jim. That's what it is.
Budget work sessions with you all, not with the departments, and then we bring in the departments with you at that time. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, if we
We're
could
gonna be
push
working
that.
with the departments individually before we bring it to you.
I think the department one is in.
There's a department
March.
meeting on March 18th.
Right.
Can we start doing budget after that is what Al was saying.
That's my question.
I've got department head 18th,
Get 'em out of the way.
20th, and 21st.
It's just the 18th.
It's just the 18th from
Yeah,
1
so
to
take-
7. It's a marathon.
We did save those dates. So delete it off the 20th.
How about-
and 21st.
Oh, shoot.
To actually do the budget. So in March is, we couldn't have it ready.
Okay.
How about into April?
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
So maybe we push it up a little bit.
Into
Or-
April,
What-
Jim's gone.
Okay. Oh,
Okay?
When do you leave?
he's happy with that. He can do that.
Leaving when?
He won't be.
25th of April
So Tuesday, the 23rd, you're gone, right? Is that what you said?
of April.
Or Wednesday of April? Are you gone the 23rd or the 24th?
I'm gone the 22nd.
The Monday?
Yep.
How about the Tuesday or the Wednesday? Those are 2 days.
I can do
Can you do those days?
Can you do that, Albert?
I can do
Jim?
any time. I came here to attend meetings.
So maybe
Do y'all wanna look at the
at
20
end of
Mr. Freeman, are you
Yes.
awake?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the 23rd or the 24th after, at like 5:30. Because Jim leaves on the
I
25th.
mean, just
Yep.
And
April
then
what?
do the
put
last
me
one.
down. I'm flexible, anytime.
Okay. And then the
April.
last one
23rd
can be
and
May the
24th.
13th. Wrap it up on May the 13th.
I hope so.
Are y'all saying April?
April 23rd or 24th.
Now, Nicole, can you
Okay.
be ready by then?
I hope so. I'm gonna try my best.
Okay.
What we'll do at April the 23rd, and that I don't know how Ed did it before, but he's probably not giving you all a balanced budget. But probably giving you all, that would help speed up the process. And then probably look at highlighted issues that
What
you can
time?
focus on
Yeah.
versus getting down to
It's
10
gonna have,
papers.
it'll have to be 5:30 because I'm working. Which is,
Okay.
But you'll let us know which day.
so do you want us
23rd
to
or
do both of
23rd.
those days?
Well, let's leave
It
it
wouldn't
open.
really
You
matter,
gave it to
though.
us, leave it there, let us work it out and see where we are at the department.
So you're gonna look at the April 23rd and April
I
24th?
wrote it down here. Yes, ma'am.
You'll let us
That
know.
means you gotta pack.
I know all about
Okay,
it.
all right.
No, it makes Wayne's go pack.
Oh, I don't think Wayne's packs.
Gwen starts on April 1st. Packing, and I back over.
Well, I think that's good. We've got a whole year except for 2 dates. I think that's really good.
With 6 busy people?
Yeah.
Plus the
Good
town
job.
people?
I don't
Yeah.
leave until 2 o'clock.
All right.
Okay.
2 on that.
We're
2
ready,
o'clock on
Mayor.
the 25th,
Guys.
so I can.
Okay, Charlotte.
Got it?
Yep, we got
Okay.
that.
Do you all
What's
wanna-
next?
We'll start with Albert. Do you have any other comments before we adjourn?
Do we want to look at how about the council, Mr. Freeman?
I think I'm the last one.
Your
here.
last
Yeah.
one?
I think I'm the
He's
last
last.
after you all.
Yep. Albert, any thoughts, comments?
When are we meeting with the senator and the representative?
I'll bring that up when it gets
It's
down to
his
me.
time.
Well,
He's
what I
excited
want
about it.
included is some highway patrol help in this town for speeding on the bypass, which the state gave us and cost. I want highway patrol help. We don't have the personnel to do the job. I never see a trooper here. They're always down
They
at the
were
bottom of the
twice
damn
last
hill
week.
getting people going downhill.
Parked at the Scotchman. They were parked there twice last week at the
Yeah.
Scotchman.
Yeah.
Ask Keith, Highway Patrol was.
Really?
And stayed
They're
for a
probably
while.
talking to each other.
Okay.
Stayed
Jim,
for a while.
thoughts? None?
No, I just hope everybody's ready for this session we're gonna have for the town manager stuff.
Yeah. Sue?
Oh, tomorrow?
Monday.
Is it tomorrow?
Next Monday.
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 Yeah, jeez. I would like to revisit, and I talked to Mr. Freeman about this, about now that the sidewalk's done on South Park Street, that we limit the parking to 3 hours.
Didn't we?
We did it on the north side, but we didn't do it on the south side because of the, they were doing the sidewalk.
Are there signs out there? Oh, wait, right
the
in
other
front
side.
of the chamber.
Right in front of the chambers, north side. And the only thing is that we need to reserve the library 2 spaces, because I'm not gonna take that on. A. Huh?
Past experience, we need to schedule on an agenda item. That's parking regulations are usually done by ordinances. So you could enforce it.
Okay, you told me it was a business item the other day.
No, yes, you could talk about it, but to take it further and
Oh,
implement it. Yeah, yes.
Did
You-
we vote
yes.
on that?
No.
What's
But
the
usually
problem?
parking on a street or
She
street
wants to
signs
limit
on
the
ours
parking
are
on
usually are done by an
this out
ordinance
here
that we bring back
to
to
3
full
hours.
council.
So can you do that for the next
is
That's what I'm
council?
saying, we could do that.
Okay.
If that's a concurrence with the, that's what
Is
you bring
that okay with
out.
y'all?
Said police.
He's
Park-
talking about on the side, not in the
Thought it
parking
said
lot.
police.
Yeah, I know, I gave it.
You're talking about.
I'm talking the south side of Park Avenue. North side's done, but we didn't do Park,
South side?
south side because of, they were redoing the sidewalk. But the sidewalk's done.
Okay, yes, because I don't think the library needs that many spaces.
Oh, I'm not getting in
I'm not getting into that.
I'm not touching that one.
You wanna touch those libraries?
Go for it, Virginia.
I said to retain those 2, but anyway.
You won the pavers, you lose the park.
No, she wanted grass.
She got grass.
You got grass.
I got grass that I should be
Cannabis.
quiet for a couple of months.
Cannabis.
Now, the other thing is that the Board of Elections in your little printout said that there were 3 seats up and it's only 2. They're confusing us with the county,
Oh, wow.
which is that the county has 2 people that are elected for 4 years and 1 person elected for 2.
They've done that forever.
We, however, are all elected to 4 years except for the mayor.
Right.
So it would be the mayor plus 2 seats. So there's an error in Matt's thing.
We need to contact them and I was
Just
just
FYI.
passing it
It's
on
not a
from
big
the
deal.
Board of Elections.
They've
Yeah.
done that before.
Yeah, they've done it.
They get
Can you
confused.
remind me, Hillary? No,
It's
that's
Matt
in the back
Snyder.
that we got from the
It
Board of
was
Elections.
something I got in there, it was something.
Yeah, I know,
He
I
told, I called him about it and he told me I needed
Didn't
to
know that.
run again because I had the least amount of votes.
He's wrong.
Who
told you
That
that?
is county.
Matt did.
No,
Yeah,
They've done that before.
they've
Hey,
done
man.
that before.
that's not in our body.
And we'll just tell them, look, you run your circus, we'll run ours.
That's okay.
They just made a mistake.
Okay.
They just made a mistake, don't worry.
Two things, as Albert alluded to a minute ago, March 8th, 5 o'clock, Town Hall.
Good job.
We will have Representative Ray Russell and Senator Deanna Ballard here. I asked what we're looking at, if this is all right with everybody, is just a little form that they'll get up and give us an update on each respective bodies that they represent. After that, we'll have a question session from the council, any questions that we have. And then depending on their time, maybe then they can open it up to the public. But I asked that you work on the points that you would like to ask them, you know, hopefully that relates from Blowing Rock to with them that they can help us with.
But are we gonna come in with force and only have 3 recommendations? I mean, if we have like 10, they're, you know what I mean? It's better for us to address 3 issues we want them to address.
Right.
Do you want us to send those to you?
We could send them in and we'll consolidate down to.
You want
yeah.
that?
To 3.
Right, because we're gonna find out how much time they can actually give us. We know that they'll be here at 5, but we're not sure, you know, how long that they've allotted to stay, so we may be limited to how long we want to allow that.
You should allow a few minutes to find out what in the world would they like from us.
Right.
What can we do to help them
Right.
as
Vote
well?
for them.
Yeah,
No, I know that.
Okay, I got 3 I'll
That's
send.
Just,
Yeah.
that's just a
let's
courtesy.
all do that. Let's do that. And
So
then
that
that'll
everybody
get our
here,
top
that
three
if you have
from all of
something you
us,
wanna bring up
so we can be focused.
for them to address for Blowing
Virginia?
Rock, that we'll send that to.
One more.
Oh.
We met with Alpacart, just to bring this up. They're working now on putting together as a bid and a contract. We're working on a proposed route, but that is a work in progress right now. We hope to have this info back by the next town council meeting to present to you.
Great, thank you.
Are you working on the expansion, or can you say?
Right. They cannot give us 2 loops, you know, so we're gonna have to, we ask for a price either or, you know. But, you know, right now it's looking like that's up to council about the outer loop, you know, that we were talking about. But anyway, they're gonna come back with us a price, hopefully, isn't that what they said, Mr. Freeman, for the next, Virginia, for the next meeting?
Yeah, he's working on the route right now, and I think I got a draft, and I gave it to Hillary, of trying to keep it at the same price.
Right.
But he hadn't
We're hoping.
finished out the route.
Because we added an hour. You remember, we asked them for an hour earlier, the shops open at 10, and we'd asked for that. So I expected, being they charge us an hourly rate, that price would go up some.
You got it.
But anyway, we hope to have that info back for you at the next council meeting.
Thanks for doing that.
I've been approached several times, and I think it's, they'll probably come after you next, because you got grandkids there, about the possibility of the town helping out with maintenance at the playground that was the new playground at the school. And if it's okay with you guys and whoever wants to join in, I talked to Mr. Succo, the principal, and I talked to Jennifer, our Jennifer at Parks and Rec. If I'm happy to meet with them, if any of y'all want to join us, about what that would look like and bring it back to y'all. I don't know, but to do some kind of committee meeting on it, we keep pushing it around. What do y'all think about that?
Virginia.
What?
Mr. Freeman's got a question.
Yes.
Not a question. I don't mean to throw a towel on anything, but I think we need to sit down and talk with that. I have been involved with the past with the Board of Education school. We try to work something out.
Right.
What gets in the way a lot of times is if something happens on workman's comp,
Well, that's
who
part
gets
of
that?
it.
And we need to those insurance things and liability needs to be worked out, and then something probably as a memorandum of understanding of who does what. Just been there before, and it's
Well,
a great
and
thing to do and to
I think
pursue.
that-
I'm not knocking it, but
No,
there
I
are
think
some
that
steps.
the principal would guide us on where to even start with it. This was a privately funded playground on school property that is in the heart of our town. So, I don't know that it's even feasible at all, but there are voices that want us to at least look at what it all involves. So I felt like we need to start somewhere.
A rough meeting with them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just-
Initial, and that's a starting point.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all,
Could've been a police officer now.
I know. But that-
We're gonna have to cut out more than pavers,
Okay. Mr. Freeman?
because we're
Is
giving
it-
them a police officer in
Alan?
a car.
No?
Mr. Mother. Damn
He wants a pillow.
Too much.
do we have anything to report?
Paying us.
Now that that's public?
No.
County's
No,
funding
you
some
haven't heard
other
anything
policemen,
from-
we have to keep on
about the-
funding this.
Yeah, it's
No.
public
Yeah,
knowledge.
that's got nothing to report.
They haven't responded in any way.
Tell me.
Well, they filed a
don't care.
motion to change
the rich
venue to
people?
Caldwell County.
I care.
Oh, to talk about it down in
We're getting
Caldwell County.
hosed.
To hear the
We have
case.
for 25 years.
Set up here.
Did y'all hear that?
What?
They changed the venue now that there's public knowledge that we filed.
What?
They haven't changed it yet, they filed for that, right?
They filed a motion to change the venue.
To Caldwell County.
Oh, that's Alan's,
Okay.
you're taking care of that.
Excuse me?
You're taking care of that, aren't you?
Well,
When do they have to respond?
Did you give them
they, so their county attorney accepted service about 2 weeks ago. But they can file, this motion has to be heard before they have to file the responsive pleading. So it'll be a while.
A month, 2 months?
March is the date that the motion is to be heard.
Oh. Okay.
in Caldwell?
In Watauga, because that's where we filed it.
Okay, good. Do you need any of us there?
They probably,
Do I need to do that? No, you don't need to.
Okay.
Pavers.
papers.
Mr. Freeman?
Oh my. I think everything I had to say is already on a piece of paper here, so you could all read it if you want to spend the time. But just highlight real quickly on that, need to be aware of Legacy Trail, the stairs go. I've talked to a number of you on that. It is a risk problem. Our insurance people have seen it. It is not an easy fix. We are trying to look at something to do there, and if we don't get the estimates in, we literally got to close that off. There's a big risk there going in there, the trail going down. You should have a picture of it, and there's a email regarding that. The second thing is just real quickly let you know that talking with a number of, and this is some of the council members have mentioned to me, I think, and also at the retreat about looking at some kind of a process, so we just can start planning application process for events and that, because our people get tied up. We are looking at that process right now. We'll have something back to you all, hopefully in the next month or 2 months, and then we can start that. But in the interim, I believe the museum is having you'll probably see an email from me soon, an event in August, and they want to follow through a process, so we're doing kind of an internal process of checking off from a town standpoint to make sure we have the insurance limits in place, making sure they want to use a parking deck on there, what that might involve, if they need police services, so at least we can have all that up front and knowing what takes place. Surplus equipment disposal, it's just my policy, even though you have the resolution that the manager could dispose of anything personal at 30,000, I would just want to let you know that there's a list that Public Works has done, and we approved to do that on GovBay. Recycling route changed. I thought you had more notice of it. Got upset last week. I was out at a meeting and got a call from the Thursday, like Friday, to hand out flyers, change all residents and changing out the route in 2 weeks. We stopped that process, did meet with them yesterday afternoon. They're gonna work with us, and you have a copy of the flyer, and inside their agreement, they can do that. They're just trying to consolidate the route into one day. So they'll be out there notifying your residents of that they'll be changing it to a Thursday, one day only route on the recycling. The Virginia plan update, I think we discussed that at the planning retreat. To go back and look at it, come back with you all. Doug and of course Jennifer's worked on it. We just got that back. We at this point are still working and trying to refine it, especially if we're gonna come back, where we're gonna get the money to do this. So we're just just to let you know we're
Just spend it all.
yeah, spend it all on that. Good news, the wastewater sludge tank bids were open yesterday. The low bid was $144, which was substantially less than what you had budgeted and allocated for Matt's reviewing those estimates and get back to you for an award, hopefully award consideration at your March meeting. And other than that, just a reminder there at the bottom there, February 18th to get together in closed session in regards to scheduling interviews with your manager candidates, or who from that standpoint.
And that's 1 o'clock, right?
1 o'clock.
1:30, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
So we're not meeting, are we? That's a Monday. I'm just kidding.
Why did I have,
Let's get rescheduled.
why did I have something on the calendar for tomorrow at 1? That was just
That's
typo?
not us.
Okay, all right,
That's for somebody else.
1 o'clock on Monday.
Okay, I'm making a revised motion.
Thank you.
We're still in session. I removed my no vote for the pavers. Can somebody second that?
I will.
Okay.
Well, you did it for the whole thing, I thought.
Yeah, you did.
You did it for the whole thing, it
I
wasn't
meant
the
for
project, it
project.
wasn't
I'm
just
saying
that.
the project.
Oh, okay, the project,
In
gotcha.
other words, it will be unanimous.
Unanimous.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have a motion to
Is this
adjourn?
yours or mine?
Motion we adjourn.
Mr.
Do we
Freeman.
have a second?
Yes, sir.
God, I gotta be.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Yes.
Tomorrow is Wednesday. I wanted to go over either with you or Nicole that,
10:30.
that audit.
If you're going to do, I'm not trying, if you do it with me, we'll have to do it late in the afternoon. Other than the